Good day, everybody, and welcome to Comics Unlimited podcast. Today, we're going to talk about my bookshelf stuff. When do we get rid of these comics? When do you sell them? How do you sell them? And why should you sell them?
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to Comics Unlimited. My name's Ted Davies. I'm an artist and author, best known for my books Retrieve and Grimm 101. And I do some publication with this guy next to me, I think. So who's the guy next to me?
Hi, everybody. My name's Glenn Fleming. I'm a writer, artist, and publisher, and I'm the creator and co-publisher with this young man here of Comics Unlimited. And I got... That's the latest issue. The next issue is out in a few weeks. And I have... I've lost my thread now.
No problem. We got a new book that's going to be coming out that this gentleman's been drawing, and it's an amazing. I mean, the styling, everything about it. I love Hatch anyway. You guys need to check this out when it goes live on Indiegogo. Yeah, it is awesome. If you haven't seen it, go back to our last video. It's talked about the Hatch and the launch and everything else that's going to be coming up with it. And you're an amazing guy, Glenn. That's why I'm partnered up with you. And it's just awesome. It's just an awesome thing. Comics Unlimited. You can find it on, give me 1 second here, on Glenn B. Fleming's Amazon site. You can purchase Comics Unlimited, a bunch of them, 1 through 11, and soon to be 12.
Oh yeah, 12. And it's also an ebook as well, if you prefer that way.
Absolutely. So check it out. There's really no reason, if you're a collector, there's no reason why not to have it. I mean, it tells you everything that you need to know about the history of comics and some of the greatest artists I've ever seen. Some you've met, right?
100 pages every few months, and we do our best. But I think it's getting better. I think better.
So. And we've got some fantastic writers. Yeah. I mean, the articles are just like I said, if you got a person that's a comic collector, that's a definite go-to for what we offer. So I also want to check out here real quick Cashman's Comics. Cashman's Comics has sponsored us, and I'm let me get this banner off of here for a second. Down in Bay City, Michigan, John Cashman has been there 26 years. He's been running that comic book shop for a long time. Say hi to Petey the dog when you're there. If you're lucky enough to stop into the shop, check out everything that they're doing online at cashmanscomics.com. Buy something. He will ship it as long as you pay for the product and the shipping. So check that out. And let me go back to the banner at hand here. And then, okay. So, yeah. So today, you've been okay. Everything's been good. You've been,
Yeah, I've been doing this campaign for Hatch. It should be up in a few days. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this weekend, maybe the weekend after that. I'm not sure. Okay. But I need to do some promotion and so, you know what it's like to do a campaign.
Sure.
It's a nightmare.
It's an education.
It is, certainly, yeah, it is. But there is a sign-up address for it. Or if you go to Hatch What's Up on Indiegogo, it'll show you, and you can sign up for the pre-launch thing and all that kind of thing.
And we're going to have it in the description as well. So we'll definitely put it down there. And then when you guys, this is actually recorded. So, and in the conversation, we'll also drop the link in there so that you guys can be notified on launch. So you guys are ready to roll with it. Yeah. Hey, I'm looking forward to it getting out to the world, my man. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, I think so. So today what we're going to talk about is, okay, we're all comic collectors. You wouldn't be here if you weren't, or if you're starting comic collecting. When do you sell these things? When do you hand the baton off to somebody else? What are the circumstances maybe around it? How do you get through the grief of not having them anymore? Is it a means to an end? I mean, that's something that I think a lot of us deal with. Some comics don't mean anything to anybody, and they might just sell, they might say, I don't really care about Archie comics or whatever. I've got them in my collection. I'm just going to let them go for whatever. but some of them mean a lot to people. So, I mean, I'm going to ask the man of the hour here because you've collected longer than I've been alive. So I think, when did you
Yeah.
start collecting? In the 60s, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
you know,
65. 60.
so how do you, I mean, I know that there was things, you're like a lot of people I know, their parents got rid of the
Yeah.
comics.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you get rid of, not your parents' side of it, but how do you get rid of the comics now?
Uh,
I mean,
now,
or during the
now,
course,
well,
of your collecting, how
yeah,
do you sell them?
I'm looking at getting to that in a few weeks or few months, maybe, especially with you, because you're a bigger collector than I, because I don't collect comics now. I only get the older ones if I see them. But my Forbidden Planet shop now is just full of toys and
Pop culture stuff. Yeah.
and I look through the comics now, and I just put them straight back. They're just abysmal, in my opinion. But my collection, I'm not sure how many I've got now. Not as many as I used to have before Mum stepped in. I've got a few things signed by Kirby and things like that, and all that kind of thing. So I'm need to listen to you in the way of how I can get rid of these things. Not get rid of them, that sounds too harsh, doesn't it? I can throw them in the bin. How I can sell them on. But with regard to what you said about when's a good time, I think it's a good time for me because I'm in my 60s. So I'm not going to be around in 40 years for when they're worth even more. So I might as well literally cash in on them, I think.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds mercenary, but I don't have children, you see. So that who am I going to leave them to? And it's like I said to you a few weeks ago about the artwork. I want to sell as much as my artwork now as I can, because either when I'm not here, either somebody's either going to throw it in the bin, what's this, throw it away, or sell it. So I might as well have the money.
Okay.
And it's all relative, isn't it? Like you could say, well, hang on to that piece of artwork till I'm 99. It'll be worth 6 times as much as it is today. But you might not get there.
Yeah. And you can't take it with you. So, I mean, it's, like we were saying, it's a means to an end. Well, I don't think that you eventually, but you didn't realize that you had no idea that Avengers and Fantastic Four would be as valuable as they are.
Nobody did.
Right.
No one did. I had all those number ones, Spider-Man, Daredevil. I had them all, and I had great runs of them as well.
Yeah. And I know a lot of guys your age that have these, that don't care what they're worth.
Well,
they want to just read them. They just want to relive their childhood.
They
don't care. They don't care about selling them.
If they found out how much they were worth, I think they might change their mind. I don't know. I've got a couple people I know that they don't care about it. They have no need for money, and they don't really care about they want, if it was a different circumstance, they probably would sell them outright. Absolutely. Yeah.
Don't have grandkids. They don't have, and they're the same situation. They don't have anybody to leave to. They might end up leaving it to an institution or a museum, maybe that kind of thing, which I think that's awesome. That'll benefit probably more than any dollar amount would. You have somebody that could be inspired, 100 years from now because you put it into an institution. That's fantastic. But like you were saying, it's a means for you now. It's a traveling, it's a ticket buying venture now.
Well, as you know, I like to travel. I've done a lot of traveling anyway, but there's still lots of places I want to go. And if I can sell this stuff for, I don't know what I get for it, several $1,000. I could use that and go to Japan.
Sure.
I've never been to Japan. I'd like to
go.
Well,
and I would rather, and that's the other thing too. In the States, we're a little bit different with our medical expenses and that. And I'm not going to go into that because that's not what we cover here. But there's expenses. I would rather you spend them traveling than in hospital care. You know what I mean? Or medical. And God forbid, I want you in good health. But it's all relative. When, so would you sell them earlier in your life, or would you sell them now? I mean, would you have thought 20 years ago, said, hey, I'm going to move these, or even 10 years ago?
No,
I think I'm going to sell these. Why?
Why? Because I didn't need to, and I don't really need to now. But it's like you said, it's. Let's put it this way, without getting gloomy. I've had longer than I've got.
Yeah, and me too.
Yeah.
I understand.
So what I want, there's two things I want to do. The first thing is I want them to go to a good home, and I want to get some money for them. That's the same
Yes.
same along
Yep.
the same one. But the other
Yep.
one is I just want somebody else to enjoy them, like you say, to
Yeah.
pass them on.
Yeah.
But I want the money.
They're no
I know
good if
I
they're
know that
not
sounds
read.
mercenary. I'm
No,
not
there's
gonna give them
no.
away.
This
I'm
is what
gonna
the show's about. We're talking about, listen, like I said, it's a means. You're
yeah,
using that energy of what these books have offered and what they're going to
yeah.
do to turn it into energy of money so that you can do some
You
other
see,
things.
exactly. I don't
That's the
want
way
it
you
to
look at
sound
it.
like I'm money minded, because believe
No,
me, I'm not. But what I am travel minded, and I spent a lot of my money through my career that I've
you're
earned
you're
traveling.
taking you're taking one experience, those
Yes.
experiences of those
Yeah.
comics, and you're using it towards another experience that you're going to have in your
I
life. I
I've
think
got
that's great.
I won't say here what they are, but you know what they are. I've got
Yeah.
some other photographs and things that are signed by very, very
Hmm.
famous people,
Hmm.
and I'm looking at moving those on,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it'll let me get to New Zealand,
Yes.
and I think it would be great to have that piece of artwork
Hmm.
that I paid for. Well, some artwork I paid for, some these photographs I didn't pay for, but to use that um, as collateral, to get. I don't want to just sit at home and count my money, or
Yes.
sit in front of the TV
Yeah.
eating chips. I
Yeah.
want to use it to get on an
Experience
aircraft
life.
and
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
somewhere. I want
Yeah.
to go to not Stalingrad, St. Petersburg. Probably not
Sure.
a good time right now,
No,
but I want
probably
to go.
not. No.
I want to go to Moscow, but obviously that's not on at the moment. I want to go everywhere I can, and I want to use it for that end.
Yeah. And I think that's a wise thing. I know that other people have more stationary reasons for doing it, eating, paying rent, buying a
Oh
new
yeah,
car, repair their car. These are all great avenues. If you need to sell them, by all means sell them. I don't like what they call FOMO, fear of missing out. I don't like that. I don't like the speculation side of a lot of things, because it causes a false market. It causes a false urgency and lack. I don't like that. As with every day, one of the comics that you had, let's say, or that I have, every day one of those comics falls away. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They're ones get ruined, they get thrown out, whatever. And
yeah.
there's smaller and smaller and smaller amounts of these particular comics, possibly. But that doesn't mean that you promote that as at the market, because that's not fair to people that are buying. I want you to, if you're really thinking about looking at selling your um your raw books or your slab books, really do the market research. Make sure that you're getting the best price,
Mhm.
and make sure it's with the right intent. It's not trying to
Yeah.
pull wool over somebody's eyes. Why are you doing it? Are you doing it so you can pay your parents' medical bills, or yours, or whatever? Or there's so many reasons why you might need to move these. You can't eat them. You could eat them. They're probably not going to taste very good. But if you could get a few dollars for them
Yeah.
so that you could
I mean, yeah.
potentially, maybe you got a kid on the way, maybe you got a wedding happening, maybe, all these things could be happening. And you know what? They're no
You,
good on the shelf
you,
if they're
you,
not,
you- yeah. You
you know,
see, I think I'm not saying I wouldn't do this, because obviously, uh, desperate time can hit anybody.
sure,
But
sure.
I really, let me put it this way: I really, really would be annoyed if I sold my collection to pay for the car to be fixed, or the
Yeah.
gas bill,
Yeah. Yeah.
because those things you're probably going to do anyway. Are you with me?
Yes. And,
So the,
and that some people had to do that in the course of
yeah, and if they have to
their
do it, they have
life.
to do it, and that's up to them. I've never had to do that, I'm fortunate, but I would hate, to have to sell those photographs, signed photographs of those famous people I've got, to pay the mortgage,
Hmm.
but I would do it to pay the mortgage off.
I see. So
You understand
there's a
what I mean?
directive. There's a directive of why you would do, and totally I get that. I think that, and just for the sake of selling them, I don't think that that's warranted. I think that
No,
you need to really look at, is there a reason why you're doing it? Like you said, is it really is a pay off a car? Maybe it's a kid's college fund. that could be too. I mean,
that's good,
you
because
know,
that's a positive thing.
yeah, and
that
you're
that you're gonna
taking this energy and then putting into something else
yeah
that's going to
yeah.
promote even more energy. So, and good energy. So,
I'll give you an example. I don't know anybody who's done this, but I presume somebody has, because I think everybody or somebody has done everything at some point.
sure.
I wouldn't want to. How can I put this now? I wouldn't want to get rid of my collection to pay for a holiday to Spain,
Yeah.
because I've been to Spain 30 times.
Right. Right.
But I'd sell them to pay for a holiday in Japan or New
Understood.
Zealand, because
It's
I'm
a
not
new
going to go back
experience.
there.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? So
Yeah,
I wouldn't
absolutely.
want to sell you a Kirby comic that's signed for 50 quid and go
Yeah.
to the pub on Friday night.
Yes, that's a waste. I
That's
think too, and I
ridiculous.
think that yeah, and I think so too. And some people, you know, I mean, some people have businesses, you know, that are, this is a transactionary thing, very, very money oriented, fair market value to this, and I need to make at least 30% on it. And I get that. I understand that too. It's completely up to you. If you're out shopping, if you're investing in comics that way, and I think that's fine too. That's honorable. Like I said, as long as it's the right intent, and you're not taking somebody for a ride. But I think that there's a lot of people that need to have, you know, if they need the money, then sell them to and maybe offer them to your closest friends first, or maybe if you are going to leave them, you know, make sure that they're in the will. If they are, you know, you have a will drawn up they're going to go to somebody that when you are no longer in need of them, you can move them. You know, that might be something. I know that there's a few things I'm going to be keeping for my kids that I'm not selling, and Chris knows about it and everything else. And it's just but I've even talked to them about it. But there's other things that I know in my years to come. I know I'm going to be probably moving, you know, depending on what their value is and everything else. But again, that's my decision, and it's another it's just investing in one thing and then moving it into something else.
I look at it this way. I've collected those comics. Nobody's helped me collect them. Nobody cares, and that's fine. So I want to benefit from them, because I'm it sounds like I'm really selfish, and maybe I am, but they're mine. Why should I give them to you to benefit from when I can? That said, that doesn't mean I might not leave things to you, you know. But if I can sell it first and go to Norway, I'll do that.
Sure.
Because they're mine.
Sure.
You know. And like I said, I don't have kids to leave it to, so
right. And that's huge. That's a big thing. I know that, you know, my biggest pet peeve with all of it is that you have people that are they almost extort money for these comics. They rate them up to the point where you can't even afford them, and they're so off the market, and they're almost bloodthirsty, you know, with their transactionary practices. I don't like that, and we're not talking about that today. I'm just talking about the people that have a collection, that they're, you know, how do they, you know, and how do they do it? You know, well, I would check out the fair market value. I would go on Go Collect or any of these other sites, see what's available, see what's on eBay, what these are going for. Type in, obviously, you guys type in the comic, the number, the year, everything, the first, whatever it is, whatever version it is, if it's signed, if it's not, check out everything. And then literally you probably would want to have to check every day just to see what the fair market value is when you're going to be selling it.
The sad side of it is that, like you were saying about some people who don't care, they know the cost of it, but they don't know the value of it.
Correct.
And that's what a lot of people look at, and that's up to them. But I couldn't do that. But like I said, I just want to sell all my artwork, and I've got a lot of artwork.
Yes,
I've got thousands of pieces of artwork, and if I could sell them all, I would be really, really happy, because I'd have that money and I'd be on an aircraft coming to see you.
Yep, absolutely.
Tomorrow morning.
You'll be selling stuff. You'll be selling books too. You'll be selling not only Comics Unlimited, but this Hatch book too. You'll be selling it soon. So
I hope so.
But the other thing was too, I talked about FOMO, fear of missing out, but also don't feel guilty if you have to sell these things. Don't feel like you've lost out or that you're a failure or anything else. If
Mhm.
you need to sell them, sell them. I mean, that's part of the game. You know what? Maybe you'll be lucky enough to buy another one later
Yeah,
in
yeah,
life.
you've got to be. You got if you're going to sell it, you've got to be happy with what you got,
Yes, yes.
and not think, oh,
There's no seller's remorse.
yeah, if I'd
here.
have waited 15 years, yeah, but you might not have been here for 15 years. You might have got
Yeah.
hit by that truck the
Well,
day
and
after.
we've all done this. Oh man, I used to have that when I was a kid. I wish I still had that.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, that's great, but maybe you weren't supposed to have it now. And
yeah,
it's somebody
yeah,
else's.
yeah.
Man, I could have been worth. I could have retired on that. There's always all these reasons.
I
that
want
we
to
beat
cry when I
ourselves up.
realize what I had under my bed, but we won't go
Yeah,
there
right.
because
With
what
your
you just said.
yeah. Well, and she didn't know either, but they were. I probably wouldn't have thrown them out. Or kept. I know my parents kept they tried to anyway. Just about every drawing I did. I had a file when I was a kid. Later on in life, they had a file full of drawings I did when I was 4 or 5. Sometimes they're better than what I do now. But they kept them. And I kept a lot of stuff for the kids, but I didn't keep every drawing that they did, so yeah, that was pretty neat. That was a pretty neat thing. But like I said, don't try to beat yourself up. Don't guilt yourself into saying, oh my God, is you're going to be worth more in 5 years. Everything's going on with the movies now and all these other things that you fear missing out is definitely it's a problem. It can be crippling for a lot of people, both financially and just mentally. So,
well, I think the simple answer to the question that we've raised is the best time to sell your collection is when you feel you want to sell them.
Yes.
I know that's simplistic, but that's it.
No,
and if you need to pay something off or whatever, try and make it big. What you're paying off. But if it's not the case, you do what you have to do, basically. As long as you're not sort of hurting anybody or anything like that, just but be happy with what you're doing. Make a decision. Make a decision and stick with it, and then just let it drift into the past.
Yeah, and then let it go. Yeah. We I've said it before. You have to go with your gut.
Yeah.
Go with your instinct and then just do it. And you know what? Hindsight's always 20/20. You're not going to get around it. It's just part of it. If you guys are listening on the podcast, we're also on Spotify and that. It's the audio version of this. If you'd like to see us on YouTube, check us out on Ted Davies Artistry YouTube channel. That would be awesome. We'd love for you to be part of Ted's tribe and subscribe so you can see great content like Comics Unlimited podcast. Or if you just want to listen to it, check us out on Spotify. That would be great too. But yeah, there's so many things that we can talk about as far as selling and even buying comics for that matter. When should you buy? That's another one I would probably look at too. But when selling it, just don't feel guilty about it. Look at it for what it is. And it's a means to an end sometimes.
Yeah. So. I might have done in the past, but now I would never think I'll buy that because in 10 years time, it might be. I don't buy any comics now. I buy the old ones. I buy the ones from 1967 when I can get over them. That kind of thing.
But you read them too.
Oh yeah,
you and I both read them. That's the thing.
That was the great thing about the Essentials collection.
Yes,
that I've got.
Yes, those trades.
You can keep the real ones, as it were, under lock and key, so to speak. But you can read the Essentials, and for me and you as an artist, we can see the artwork better as well without all those horrible colours on. But I think we covered that one. But there's selling them, like I said, is sell them when you feel like you've got to sell them.
Yeah.
But try and make it something that's going to be an experience or a benefit or something.
Yeah.
If you sell your collection and get a brand new car that's going to last you 10 years, great.
Good on you. Yeah, absolutely. Or if it helps somebody else, if it helps, you're like I said, you're trying to help somebody, your family or whatever, the kids going to college or whatever.
Yeah.
But don't, forget about the guilt of it all. Do what you think's right. Get a fair price and, do it. Go with your gut.
And just be happy with that.
Absolutely. So
another thing, just one thing.
Yeah.
When you've done that, when you've sold that Fantastic Four #1 and you've used the money for whatever you were using, don't keep looking to see how much it's worth now.
Yes.
Just let it go. Just let it go. I got
back
X for this, and that was brilliant. And don't say, oh, well, I could have got twice as much now, because you'll just kill yourself,
Exactly. You just beat yourself up. So that's it, guys. Just do what you think's right when it comes to selling. How, when, why? Well, it's up to you. Check out the market value for what it is, and don't be scared. I mean, there's always another comic if you ever want to buy one again, maybe. But seize the day, as they say.
Yes.
So thanks very much, man, for your outlook on your collecting and your selling and everything else, and what you want to do in your world travels and traveling. I appreciate you as much as I can, and you guys can check us out on Comics Unlimited. Check out Glenn B. Fleming's Amazon page so you can purchase your Comics Unlimited books, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks again, man.
See you.
Have some fun. Read some comics. We will talk to you.
See you later.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.